Welcome back, Queen, to another episode of The Creatress of Freedom. I am so excited to have you join today. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I love having you here. Thank you for taking time out of your day to tune on into this beautiful episode. If you are an OG, you know that I love you. Welcome back. It's such an honor to be back here with you again, having this beautiful, delicious conversation. And I am sure that today's episode, you are going to get so much out of today's episode. You're going to hear your story in this beautiful conversation that we are having today. So let's delve straight into it. Today is a really, really special episode because I have a really special guest that is coming on. And this special person is a very, very dear sister of mine. And we have done life and business and friendship all together for many, many years. She would be one of my longest standing sisters. So she has been on my journey for the best part of like 20 years. And I have been witness to her journey as well. And it has been, it's been an incredible journey. We are going to delve into trials and tribulations that happen in your life and how those trials and tribulations actually lead you to the most beautiful, unimaginable, beautiful things in your life, whether that's business, whether that's relationships, whether that's love and abundance, whatever that is. And so I'm really excited to bring her on because I know that her journey has been far from easy. And I know that you're going to be so inspired by listening to her message today and her story. And I know that you're going to see yourself in her story as well. So I am so excited to introduce the most beautiful Ellie into the podcast room today. Ellie, welcome, 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 babe. It is such an honor to have you here. And thank you for sharing your story with these beautiful queens listening. I know it's going to be so, so impactful.
I already have tears in my eyes. That was the most beautiful, warmest welcome. And just already thinking of like the last 20 years together just quickly flashed through my head. And it's been a journey. Oh, it's been a journey for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
it sure has. And for our listeners listening back, like we go way back. We go back to doing our apprenticeship together. Like that's how way back we go. We worked in the same salon and did our apprenticeship. We both left. We both came back. You know, we did that dance quite a few times. Then, you know, you went off and you did your journey, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. But you know, this woman and I, we go way back, and we often joke and laugh about our apprenticeship and you know just the situations and different things that happened. Like we actually said the other day, I think that needs to be a whole episode on its own.
It
Our
does.
apprenticeship,
Oh,
because
it does.
it was one of a kind, that's for sure. You know, we were in a team environment with like 16 staff at some stages, and it was all women, and there's a lot of personalities and a lot of women sinking on their periods as well. So it was a lot. But we're not
Yeah.
going to get into that episode
No.
today. Today we're going to talk about you and your journey. So can you take us back a little bit in time? I know, you know, right now you have stepped into the world of starting your own salon. And I know that we want to get to that part, but you and I both know that there was a story that led to get to where you are right now and this beautiful woman that's like sitting here in front of me. So I would love for you to share with the audience, like, tell us a little bit about your background, a little bit about your story. Like, what do you believe were the big turning points in your life that have actually made you become the woman that you are today and the business that you have today? Can you take us back in time?
Yeah, of course. So I started hairdressing at the age of 14 and 9 months to the exact day, banging on our ex-boss's door, begging for a job. And I was doing that, I was working like 4 till 10 o'clock at night. We were open till 10 o'clock at night, 5 nights a week. It was insane. So I was doing that and school at the same time, until I got to a point where I really wanted to learn how to do hairdressing and cuts and colors, because I was a shampoo girl for a good couple of years. And then I decided to do my apprenticeship, and I did my apprenticeship in year 12 at the exact same time. So apprenticeship full time, year 12 full time, which was very crazy at the time, but you just kind of do those things when you're young. You've got enough energy to do it. And I worked in the salon up until I was 24. And then I decided to move to the States, and I was getting married to someone who was American. And we had been doing long distance for like 4 years, and I kind of gave him an ultimatum, like, are we getting married or are we breaking up? And so he was like, yep, we're getting married. And that was like all I wanted. I wanted to get married. I wanted to be a wife. I wanted to be a mom. So I kind of, this was the first person that kind of was like, yeah, I really love you. I want to do all these things with you. And so I just kind of jumped into it, against a lot of people's will, but I was like, no, I have to try. My worst case is that I get divorced and I come home. Well, that ended up happening, my worst case scenario. After being 4 years married, the relationship had turned into a very emotionally, mentally, physically, sexually abusive marriage. And kind of maybe like 2 years in, I had kind of checked out, because of the things that he was doing. But, I come from a very religious background. So, like, divorce was like, no, like, you don't get divorced. Like, there's a lot of shame around getting divorced. And so, I was like, no, I can't get divorced. I have to make this work. Like, I have to. And I think it was like November, December 20, 2017, because I came back 2018. 2017, I was at a work Christmas party. He got really wasted, and he ended up hitting me. I won't go into the details of it because it's quite bad, but he ended up hitting me about 3 times and strangling me. And he kind of got to the point where he was like, oh my God, like, what have I just done? And as soon as he let go of me, he threw my phone at the wall. It dropped to the ground. I picked it up and I ran out that door. Now, we were separated from that moment on, and he would come back to the house. Like, I was allowed the house and he wasn't allowed to stay there. But he would come back to the house and be like, I'm coming to pick something up. And, it kind of went on for about another 3 months after that. And then I remember just one night, he was like court ordered to go to therapy, and we'd gone to therapy, and the therapist had said, you should allow him to go out till 6 o'clock in the morning if that's what he wants to do. That's his escape. And I just thought, this is never going to change. It doesn't matter what I do. Therapy, all the love, all the patience, it is never going to change. And after that therapy session was kind of like a light bulb went off. And I remember after work, I sat in the car and I called my dad and I told him everything that was going on. And he was he was ropeable. He was fuming. He was furious. And he said to me, "You have 2 weeks to get your crap together. I'm booking you a plane ticket. And if you don't get on that plane, I'm coming over to get you, and it won't be pretty." And I'm more scared of my dad than I am my ex-husband. So I running on adrenaline for 2 weeks, somehow got myself organized. There was a team of people behind the scenes that helped me. I told my boss, he was like, "Yep." I had people who were delivering my clothes to work so I could have 2 suitcases. I was taking clothes in a gym bag so it looked like I was going to the gym to everyone else, but I was actually putting myself together. I found a divorce lawyer who was really happy to kind of like for me to give him a deposit and for him to start, and then for me to give him the rest of the money when I got to Australia. Um, and yeah, I this is even this is what I had to do. I had to sleep with my ex-husband the night before I left so he did not think anything was happening, because I honestly think if he knew I was leaving, he would have killed me. Um, and yeah, my boss came and picked me up that day because I didn't have a car, dropped me at the airport, and I got to LA and I sent him a text message, turned off my phone. So I essentially told him I was going to work, but I was actually getting on a plane. And so when I got to LA, I texted him to say I wasn't coming back, I was leaving. I got on the plane, turned my phone off, and never spoke to him again. So that was kind of a really big turning point in my life, because I was destroyed. There was nothing left of me. I was in shattered pieces. Um, yeah, and it took a lot for me to be put back together. But yeah, that was a really big, hard lesson in my life. But the most beautiful thing out of it is that I now am remarried to the most amazing person who would never do any of those things to me, and tells me that I'm beautiful every day and how much he loves me. And you know but yeah, that was a really big turning point in self-love. And when I went on my first date with James, I was like, these are all my deal breakers. If you break any of them, we're done. Like, I was a very like, I will not let anyone destroy me the way my ex-husband did. Yeah. So that was the beginning of, I guess, building an armor. And I guess for me, I was like, I moved across the world, and I also moved back and I started over and I left an abusive marriage. And it's like, if I can do these things, I can do anything. Yeah. So it kind of started there.
I love that. Thank you for like going in and sharing that. I know we've had like really in-depth conversations about all of that story, and I've witnessed your pain going through all of that. I've witnessed your healing journey. It's been a journey, right? Like, it really has been a deep journey that you have been on, and I've seen the Ellie that was falling apart, on the phone, and then I've seen this beautiful woman that's like so empowered and is just like fully in her body as well, which is really beautiful to witness the transitions of your life and how you've been able to really turn one of the hardest times of your life into like the beautiful gift. And I also just want to touch on that point as well, because I think that it's very easy to spiritual bypass, right? It's very easy for you to sit here and listen to this episode today and be like, oh, okay, cool. She went through like a really abusive marriage, and now she's found the gift. Okay, cool. It's not that simple, right? It's
No.
there's a lot of processing, there's a lot of therapy, there's a lot of inner work that gets to be done in order to get to that stage. And so this isn't about disregarding your experience or saying, that what you went through was not bad and you just got to find the gratitude in it. It's actually takes quite a while. It's a bit of a process before you can get to that stage. And so I just want you to know that we're not sitting here saying, like whatever bad times you went through, just find the gratitude in it. It's not about that. It's really about learning the valuable lessons and healing yourself and rebuilding that deep, deep trust back within yourself before you can get to that. So we don't want a spiritual bypass. We don't want to bypass the feelings or anything like that. It's all about learning to trust the process that is unfolding in front of us in order to get to that stage of understanding that there is a beautiful gift that we do get to get at the end of it. But it takes, it takes a journey. It was 2018 that you left, and we're now 2024. So, it's been
6 years.
6 years of lots of
Mm.
investments into your own personal growth. I know, you've invested in life coaches. You've also invested in therapy as well. So yeah, it takes some time to get to that stage. So thank you so much for sharing that part
You're
of your story,
welcome.
because I know that that part of your story has determined the woman that you are today. So, all right. So
Definitely.
you got home back to Australia, and you pretty much had to rebuild your life. Like, what did that look like? Like, how does one do that? How does one like return from brokenhearted, life no longer being the way that you thought it was going to be? I know that there was some shame and some embarrassment of, like kind of walking back into Australia with your tail behind your legs kind of thing of like, fuck, everyone told me not to go down this path, but now I have to like swallow this. So like talk us through like what did rebuilding your life look like financially, stability wise? Like what did that look like? What did that journey look like? Because in order to get to where you are now, like those stepping stones were really crucial.
Yeah, I actually gave myself a lot of space when I got home. So when I get home, I essentially really didn't have anywhere to live. I was staying with my mum, but I was staying on the couch. Like she wasn't prepared to clear out a bedroom for me, or anything like that. So I really had to kind of just like pick up my life, get started ASAP. Um, so I decided to move down to Ocean Grove in Victoria. Barwon Heads, Ocean Grove had always been like my holiday destination, and I wanted my life to feel like I was on holidays 24/7 after this experience. Um, and I actually isolated myself from everyone. I had three really good friends and my family, but I didn't have family living around me, like within, they were all within a 2 hour drive. Like, so not super close, but I did that on purpose because my parents had been divorced, my sister had been divorced, my brother had been divorced, and now I was divorced. And I was like, there is a pattern in this. You know, I have some work to do from like my parents' divorce. And I was like, if I want to break the cycle and if I want to heal from this and not bring the trauma and blame my next partner for all the things that my ex-husband had done and like compared him or crucified him, or I really needed to heal, and I really needed to learn to love myself again and be able to stand on my own 2 feet without needing someone's love to essentially survive, which is how I got into the marriage the first place. I was so desperate for someone to love me, and he said, I love you. And so it was like, okay, great. We're going to get married and we're going to have kids, and I'm going to have the white picket fence. And it wasn't that at all. So my goal was really, I wanted to heal from this. And so I was lucky enough that my younger brother, who passed in a car accident in 2016, he actually left me an inheritance of 50,000. Now, when you're starting your life over from nothing, like I didn't have a car, I didn't have a single piece of furniture, I had one suitcase to my name. 50,000 doesn't really go a long way, but that is what helped me set up my life. Rent, being able to pay rent, buy a car, essentially start over. I used a lot of that money to start over. And it also gave me the flexibility of being able to just work part-time because I mentally could not cope with a full-time job. So I was working 20 to 25 hours a week as a personal assistant to a friend of mine who has a business, and he said, you can work from home. And so that really gave me the space and flexibility that I needed for 2 years, a good 2 years before I even started making friends or going out into the community. I literally would be at home or the beach. Like that was, my whole life, or, with people that I was really close with, because I just was so broken. But in that, I also was like, I never want to be in that situation again. And I never wanted, and like there was financial hurt there as well. So my ex-husband was a cocaine addict, and I didn't know this before I got married. I found out after I got married and moved and everything like this. And so he did cocaine 3 times a week. And so in America, it's about $100 a gram. So he was spending $300 to $400 a week on cocaine. And him being 10 years older, I had no control. I had no say in the matter. It was, he worked, I also worked, but he was very dominant. And so financially, there were times it got to a point where it was so bad that I didn't know how I was going to pay the mortgage. I didn't know how I was going to pay the loans on the car. I was going to his family, like brothers and sisters, every night a week for food. They were feeding me, and I was counting coins to put petrol in the car. Like I just didn't know from day to day where I was going to eat, how I was going to eat, because there was just no money. And he would overdraw the bank account like $200, but then by the time with all the fees you put the money back in, it's $300. So I was always $300 behind the 8 ball every single week. And I'd never been in a position like that before, and there wasn't really a whole lot that I could do about it. But I was determined that when I got back to Australia, I would never be in that position again. And I haven't in a sense. I've always just lived within my means, and, I'd rather earn less and be able to like give myself the time and space to heal than have all these like fancy things and not have the time and space to heal and just like put that aside and like, okay, that's 2018's problem. We're just gonna, not deal with that. But I didn't want to bring it into my next relationship. So yeah.
I love
Did that answer your
that.
question?
Yeah, yeah.
gone
Yeah,
off.
of course it did. Yeah, no, of course it did. So yeah, so the question was, how did you rebuild your life? And so financially, you had a little bit of support from an inheritance, but I think
Hmm.
the most important part here is like that. As horrible as that experience was that you had, you actually got to reset. Like, what are your values? What is important to you? What does this journey teaching you right now? And so it really enabled you to pick a job that was going to allow you to heal as well, through the process. So yeah, you 100% answered that question. That was beautiful. So I know your story, and I know there's a whole heap of other stuff in between all of that, but I want to fast track us to the moment where you decided to get back into the hair and beauty industry, because there was a season there where I think, we all go through where we're like, especially, after our apprenticeship, it was pretty intense. And so I think a lot of us after our apprenticeship did have some kind of break for a little period of time. Um, so take us back to this point where you were like, I want to get back into the hair and beauty industry. And what did that look like? And why was that important to you?
So I got back in, it was the end of 2019. I actually had gone and seen an energy healer, and he had said to me, "You're really great with your hands." And at this time, like, I had been working from home for a couple of years, doing 5 hours a day. So my hours were 8 till 2, which were amazing. And then I would have the afternoon off to do what I wanted. But I was really struggling being at home by myself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when I got back to Australia, I moved in with a girlfriend as a support. She was going through a similar situation, but we had separated at this point, and I had moved into my own place. And I'd been in this place for about a year by myself, but I was really struggling being at home by myself, and that friendship was no longer a friendship anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any family. Um, I didn't have any close friends. So I felt like I didn't really have a support network close by, like daily in my life, daily. And I had got to the point where I wasn't getting out of my pajamas for work. Like, I was just, okay, 7:45, we're going to go to the laptop in our pajamas to start at 8 o'clock. And then, we're not even going to get changed or have a shower for the day. So I had, I guess, become quite depressed. I was working from home, I wasn't interacting with anyone, and most hairdressers are extroverts. They get their energy from people. That's why we're hairdressers. We love to talk and like gossip, and we're therapists as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't getting any of that. I joined a gym, but like it just wasn't enough. And so I'd gone to see this energy healer, and he had said to me, "You're really good with your hands. What do you do?" And I was like, "I'm a hairdresser by trade." And he was like, "I really think you need to get back into it, to get you back into the world, to start socializing with people, to like tell your story, but not from like a victim mindset. Just, it's a story. You've done a lot of healing around it. It's a scar, it's not an open wound. And, you know, allow yourself to see how far you've come and how much you've grown."
Mm-hmm.
And so that, I think that was on the Saturday. And like on the Monday, I'd already done my hairdressing resume, and I had gone out to all these places in the afternoon, dressed myself up, and yeah. And I walked in to Rixon's, and they wanted a qualified hairdresser, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to dip my toe in. I didn't want to do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As you said, we can be scarred from our apprenticeships or the the stint of hairdressing. And so I just wanted to dip my toe in. And I was like, I know you're looking for a qualified hairdresser, but do you need like a salon assistant during the busy months? Like, I think this was August, September. So I was like, coming up to Christmas, like, do you need an extra hand? And I didn't want to quit my job. I just
Mm-hmm.
needed a few hours or a Saturday. Um, yeah, so I ended up being like salon assistant slash receptionist. Um, and I did Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, Friday nights, and all day Saturday. And it was good. Like, it got me out of the house and I was talking to people, and
Mm-hmm.
um I actually ended up like quitting my job to then go back into hairdressing full time. And then the pandemic hit, which I ended up working the whole entire way through, with a very small team. But I did love, like, I love people. That's what I love. And
Mm-hmm.
I love making them feel good. And I think just that reminder from the energy healer that, like, why I got into hairdressing and that I am good with my hands. Like, I think sometimes we forget what our talents are and we just,
Mm-hmm.
kind of keep moving. And yeah, and so, yeah, it was good for what it was. I ended up staying at Rixon's 2024 till 2022. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, my boss actually asked me to reapply for my position. And I was like, do you know what? I'm done. I'm like, I'm burnt. There was a whole lot of other things in
Mm-hmm.
between there. But, someone just pushes you too far. And I think, the experience of my ex-husband, it was like I had firm boundaries. And I knew when like someone was getting close to those boundaries and was pushing me
Mm-hmm.
too far. And I was like, done. I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
you know, you've pushed me too far. I don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like, I guess, backed into a corner. Um, yeah. And I just was like, it's just not worth it. My husband has an amazing saying, and it's, at what cost? Is it financial? Is it you? Is it at the cost of your mental health? Is it time? Like, what is it costing you deep down? And is it actually worth it? And so
Mm-hmm.
I just was like, it's not worth it. And I quit Rixon's, I quit hairdressing altogether, and I went to a receptionist job and I took a $20,000 pay cut. And
Mm-hmm.
that was huge, but it wasn't worth the stress that I was going
Mm-hmm.
through in the salon to like
Yeah.
continue. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Which I think even just that is such a powerful story because we often think that the money is what's going to make us happy, right? And I know we've
Hmm.
had many conversations, and if you've listened to previous episodes of mine, you will hear that I talk a lot about that. Like a lot of us are chasing the money and the time, and it's not until you get the money and the time that there's still some unfulfillment there, and there's still like something's missing. And so for you to like voluntarily choose to have a $20,000 pay cut for the year, but knowing that it was going to give you the peace, like that's when everything really starts to shift. I think when you really are like, what's going to make me fucking happy? And it's the money isn't always what's going to make you happy. The money helps, and the money definitely helps create the lifestyle and the freedom and the choices. But if
Hmm.
it's destroying your inner peace along the way, then it's not worth it. And I think that that's a really important lesson that we all could take from is like if it's costing you your own inner sanity and your own inner peace, is it really worth it? Is the money that you've got really worth it? Because it shouldn't be you shouldn't be feeling that way about life and about business and about work. And that ripples out into many other areas of your life and your business as well. So I love that you touched on that.
100%.
Yeah. So
Mm.
then you started to embark on I know that there's lots of other things in there, but for the sake of our listeners not going into a 6 hour podcast episode, we're gonna
Oh.
condense it down. So then you decided that you wanted to start with a company,
Mhm.
and I know that your reasons for starting with this company was really deep, and personal, and it was really about setting up your future life, right? So tell us a little bit about the company that you worked with, or still work with, and where that journey led you to where you are right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So I am a brand ambassador or a market partner with Monate Global, which is an anti-aging hair care line. And I had been introduced to this company in when I was in the US, and I loved their products, still do. I use them, I still work the company. Um, because they performed. And I had always wanted long, blonde Barbie hair. And it was always short, broken, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
trashed from bleaching it so much. Like as hairdressers, we like to push the boundary on our hair.
Uh-huh. For
Um
sure.
and I felt like there was something missing out of my hair care routine, but I could not put my finger on it. I had no
Mm-hmm.
idea. I had access to everything. I tried everything, and it
Mm-hmm.
like my hair was okay, but it just like wasn't great. Wouldn't hold a
Mm-hmm.
curl, would break at a certain length, wouldn't grow past my shoulders, and I really wanted long blonde hair. And I had accepted the fact that maybe that's just my hair, like, you know. And then I found out they were coming launching in Australia October 2022. No, 2021, October 2021. And I knew as soon as they hit Australia that I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to build this online business and help as many people with their hair as possible, because the products has changed my hair so much. And Annie was my hairdresser for the longest time, pretty much since our apprenticeships. Um, yeah, and she would bleach it every 8 to 12 weeks. And like we could do that. And like I didn't have any damage, which was like the biggest thing for me. And so, yeah, I wanted to be a part of this, and I wanted to build this online business, and I wanted to share these products. And I really, my reason behind joining, not only for the products, but for the community. I wanted to be a part of a community of like minded women who
Mm-hmm.
were striving for things and were trying to build a better life for them. But I also wanted to be able to provide an income while being a mum whenever that happened.
Mm-hmm.
My dream goal in life, I've never had huge career aspiration. I've always just wanted to be a wife and a mum. That has been my highest goal in life, and it still is.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything I have done is to like try and build a life so when that day happens that I do become a mum, I can stay home, and I do have that choice to stay home rather than I have to go back when they're 12 weeks old or six
Mm-hmm.
months or 1 year. Like, I just
Mm-hmm.
don't want that for myself. Um, yeah, so I was like, I'm going to start building this online business, and I'm going to start sharing their products and showing everyone what it had done for my hair, and help change the lives of other people and their hair, and make them feel confident and happy, and because like if you're having a good hair day, babe, you can take on anything. Like you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I've got this. And
Mm-hmm.
but if you're not, like you kind of, I don't know, for me, like if my hair's not great, I'm not feeling it. Like it just,
Mm-hmm.
I could put on the cutest outfit, but if I'm just like my hair's not working for me, let's just start again tomorrow.
Go back to bed.
So go back to bed, start again tomorrow. Um, but yeah, like they made my hair so manageable that I never had a bad hair day. Like I'm on day 5 at the moment and I have like a really like a ponytail that's still got curls in it, it's long, it's blonde. Um so yeah, I really just aligned with everything that this company offered. They're all about family, community. Their products are phenomenal. They're globally the number one hair care product. Um, yeah, and I just loved that. And they just had so much to offer. And I just thought this really goes with my hairdressing career. I'd never done anything like this before. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
network marketing, online space, nothing. Never even had an Instagram before I started Monat. Like just nothing. It's just not my thing, right? I grew up on Disney, didn't have internet.
And
Yeah, so I just
MySpace.
and MySpace. Oh my goodness. Um, yeah, so I just like really felt this as a hairdresser, this really like aligned with me, and this was really something that I could do, and
Mm-hmm.
I could put my expertise on it, and I guess my niche is blondes and damage and broken hair and how to fix that and how to prevent damage at home and how to have that beautiful long hair. But yeah, I just found that you know this was going to be big and that this is something that I could do from home essentially and I could make money. And I
Mm-hmm.
have gotten a paycheck every single week for the last 2.5 years, which is incredible. But, like when they were launching, Rickson said to me, you cannot talk about this in the salon. And so with that and, being asked to reapply for my job, I was like, I'm out. I
Mm.
felt so strongly.
Was not in alignment with your values anymore.
No, not at all. And I felt so strongly about this company and building this online business and um, creating financial freedom and giving me choices to be a stay-at-home mum.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just believe it 100% to my core that it was worth quitting my job over. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just knew that like this is something I had to do and I could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then it evolved beautifully from that beautiful space of going headfirst and learning a whole heap of new skills around Instagram, around how do you market yourself, how do you sell yourself. Like that's a whole different
Mm-hmm.
ball game that is very different to what you had once learned. But you threw yourself in. I remember you like saying to me like, oh, I'm like 4 a.m. I'm on a training call because I really want to learn from this chick. Like I aspire to be like this chick. And in order, like you always say to me, we always say like, be in the rooms with the people that are doing the things that you want to do, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they're already doing it. They're already embodied in their work. And so when someone's embodied in their work, like you got to get yourself in that room because when you're in that room, not only is their energy contagious, but they're going to give you the tips and the tools, and they're essentially going to give you this blueprint that fast tracks your success, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
A hundred
I
percent.
know the effort and everything that you've done to get this business up and going. And then something shifted. So you decided to change, not from not working with Monat, but you decided to kind of bring a new approach into it. So you're still working with Monat, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
different approach. What is this different approach, and what was the turning point for that to actually be launched?
Yeah, so December 2023, my husband and I, we just come off fixed interest rates, and we thought that we were prepared. We had a fixed interest rate on our house for 3 years at 2%. And the current ones we were going to were 6.24. And we thought we were prepared for that gap. We'd done the math. We were paying extra on the house in that 3 years, close to what we thought we were going to be paying when we came off. So it wasn't such a big hit. We'd done everything we thought we were doing right. And we came off those fixed interest rates, and we had 7K coming in and 7K going out on just essentials. That was it. So if you said to me, Annie, and I know, like, I saw you when all of this was happening, and it was very raw, real, emotional.
Yeah.
If you said to me, let's go get a coffee, I would have to tell you, you can come over and I'll make you a coffee. And that really did happen with me and Annie. I was seeing her before she moved to Greece, and we planned to go to breakfast. And I said to her, oh, this is going to make me. I said to her, can you come to my sister's house so I can make you breakfast, because I don't have anything extra to go to breakfast. And it was a real trigger for me, because if you go back to the States, I swore that I would never be in that position. And even though I wasn't in that position, like, everything was paid for, the house was paid for, food was in the fridge, the lights were on. I have a wardrobe that's bigger than the house. Like, we were fine. We were fine. Yeah. But it felt like I was back in that position, that I was broke. Yeah. And I don't like to miss out, or not go to coffee, or not go to breakfast, or, have to not buy those jeans. Like, I'd worked so hard and educated myself so much financially to make sure that that never happened again, that I was never, like, counting pennies or going to my friend's house for dinner. Like, I just had worked so hard, and it felt like all that hard work was undone. To the point where, like, it took a good couple of weeks to work out, and I was calling the bank, and we're in tears, and my husband's calling the bank, and he's in tears, and he's coming home from work in tears, because he feels like he's failed me, and failed our marriage, because he's like, I'm meant to be the man and the provider, and like, we don't have anything extra. Like, we don't have a single dollar extra to our name. And in the end, we ended up calling the bank, and they were supposed to be taking our mortgage out weekly, like actual payments onto our mortgage weekly. But what they were doing was they were taking a direct debit weekly and putting it in a holding account, and then taking a monthly repayment from that. Anyways, I got to the bottom of it, and they were like, I said, I want it weekly. I want you to physically put that payment onto our house weekly. And that took our payment from $850 to $690. So it gave us $150 a week. It meant we could have savings, and it meant we could have our splurge back. But it wasn't a lot. Like, $50 a week in savings is not a lot. If I smash the car, how am I going to pay the what's it called? the insurance. Yeah, like the insurance, and so my husband decided that he was going to go back to school, and he really wanted to get into cybersecurity. So he was like, I'm going to go back to school. He got into the course amazingly in January. And I decided to open my own home salon called Sage and Style. And I kind of had played with this idea for a little while, you know, because I still love hairdressing and I still love what it gives to people. I just wasn't sure that how was I going to make this work? And I had been looking for people to join my Monate team that were hairdressers that could incorporate it into their business, just slide it in, you change your product range over, you add some treatments to the menu, um, you know, and I was looking for that, but I wasn't that myself. And so I was like, I need to be that person. The person I'm looking for is what I need to be. And so I was like, this girl, the whole inspiration kind of came from this girl. She posted in a Facebook girl code group in Geelong. And she said, can someone recommend a shampoo and conditioner? I'm at my wits' ends. My hair's not growing. I've tried everything. Can someone please help me? And private messaged her and I said, would you be open to coming over for a wash and blow dry and I'll help you out with some products? And she said yes. And I didn't charge her because I didn't know what I was doing. I genuinely just wanted to help her with some products.
Mm-hmm.
She spent $350 on products. And I said to James, I think there's a business in this. I think this is the missing link in salons is the consultation part, but the consultation part being like an hour long, not a 15 minutes, like an hour. Like, what is your lifestyle like? How much are you prepared to do? You know, like really go into it because Monate hair products, they're a journey. They're not a 2-day fix and your hair's going to be magical. That it is a healing process. It's healing your hair from the inside out. And so it is a journey. And so it's like, are you prepared to go on that journey? Just like if you've got skin issues, it's a journey to take your skin, get rid of whatever you're dealing with. And so, yeah, I said to James, I think there's a business in this and I think I need to do it. And I just dove straight in. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just going to make an Instagram page. I'm going to start with a price list. I'm going to work out what I want to do. And like, my main focus is consultations and helping people with their products. And so I use all of Monate products. I do treatments like bond repair treatments if you've got really damaged hair. Yeah, do all kinds of different treatments and I just incorporate those products into my business. And after a consultation, they get a little sample pack so then they can use those products up until when their products arrive. So they just throw out their old products and they're just starting and keep going. Yeah, and it has been like the greatest thing ever. And I knew from the beginning if I was going to do a business, I wanted to be mentored by you. And that's what I did. I was like, I'm not doing this without Annie. And so, like, I did your VIP day and we did multiple, like, sessions to, what's the word? Progress sessions, I guess. Or, like, yeah. And I have been in the green. I've had Sage and Style 6 months, and I've been in the green since January. And you know,
Yay! This makes my heart so happy. Yes, because I think so many people. I'm like, yeah, we got to the end, like all of that story, and we got you to like have this business that's profitable, that's building this beautiful life, so that you can start your family, and you're doing something that you're so
mm-hmm,
aligned to, and your core values are there, and like everything is just like slotted into place like a beautiful jigsaw puzzle. It's so beautiful. Um, and yeah, like I love that you shared that, and I'm happy for you to share a little bit more around your experience around that VIP day. But I think something that's really valuable here is so many people keep waiting. It's like I'll invest when I start to make more money, right? I'll invest when I'm still so new into business. There's no point in getting a mentor, right? And I think that this part is so valuable for you and for
Mm-hmm.
other people listening, because a lot of people are constantly waiting for the perfect time, right? And it's like, well, when you actually realize that the perfect time is right now, and that what you put into your business actually allows you to be fast tracked, it actually allows you to be in the greens way sooner than you ever could have imagined, because you're being given a blueprint and it's been trialed and tested. And whether it's been within my own salon or whether it's been with my current clients that I work with or existing clients, like all of it's been tried and tested. So it's a no fail. Like you're guaranteed to make it work because you're being given a blueprint that you know works. And so I love that you shared that so early in your entrepreneurial journey of starting your business, Sage and Style. You're like, nah, I'm straight in. Like, I'm not going to fuck around. I'm not going to wait for the perfect time. I'm not going to wait for when I start to make more money, right? A lot of people can buy into that story, but you didn't do that. You were like, no, I want this and I'm going all in. And you trusted yourself and you believed in yourself that you could implement everything that was going to be shown to you. And that takes a lot of courage. So like, I want to say thank you for sharing that part of it. What was your biggest takeaways from doing the VIP session with me?
I think for me, I really wanted to understand like the numbers side of it, like, you know, what my costs were, how to cover my costs, how many clients I needed to bring in, um, how much my clients needed to spend, because then that kind of worked around like my pricing. I think for me, it was like the numbers side of it, because I had been a part of so many businesses, and my dad, he had his own sales business for 25 years, and he always wasn't in the green. And so like, yes, I was in sales with Monat, but I was in sales within my own salon, and I had been a part of so many businesses that, yes, they turn over money, but then don't necessarily bring in a profit. And it was like,
Yes.
I can't afford to not know how to do this right, because we don't have any extra money. This needs to
Mm.
bring in money. And so, like, we got money for Christmas from James's parents, and I essentially took that money to put into mentorship like straight away. It was like, I
Mm.
can't afford to not do this, because
Mm-hmm.
I need this to be profitable. I need to know from the get-go how to make this profitable. I don't have a year of like just making even. I need to be able to provide for my family. And as it turns out, we have to do IVF, and my business is now paying for those appointments, which
Mm.
I wouldn't have been able to do in December. Like,
Yeah.
and they, so yeah, I really like, I needed to know the strategy of it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I needed the blueprint essentially. I
Mm.
needed to know,
Mm.
how do I run a business? How do I make it profitable? Because I'd done the online business. So I kind of had worked out marketing and, marketing myself and reels and social media and all that kind of stuff. I'd done a lot of that, but it was, yeah, the strategy of it, and
Mm.
boundaries, and yeah, like, what do I want to do? And I remember, after the first month, and we had a meeting, and you said, how did you go? And I think I made $800, and you had said to me, okay, what did you do? And I was like, I did 4 blow waves, 2 cuts, 1 consultation, whatever it was. And she's like, okay, you were like, this is your blueprint. And I was like, I never really understood it until then. And I was like, okay, so if I want to make this amount, I need to do this many cuts, this many colors, this many blow waves, this many consultations. And it was just like a light bulb for me. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand business. I understand what I need to do in order to make this successful and profitable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And I remember the conversation that we're having. You're like, like I made 800, and there was like, that was good, but there was also a little bit of like, oh, that's all I made, right? And anyone that comes into my world is always fucking huge high achievers, right? Like literally, one of my recent clients just went from, averaging $1,000 weeks, and she had $18,000 a week, and she still was like, yeah, but I want more. And I'm like, of course you want more. Like, that's just what happens. But once I remember saying to you, like, I know that it was only 800, right? Like, yes, it was only 800, but I remember saying to you, tell me, how many hours did you work? And I think you'd done like, I don't know, like 12
10.
hours or something. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was minimal. It was like 10 to 12 hours. And I was like, okay, so you got paid, and we have to put things into perspective, right? Because you're also working as an employee for another business.
Yeah.
So I said to
Full
you, so
time.
for your 10 hours that you just worked in your business, you got paid $800 profit. Like that was your profit, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah. And I was like, how many hours a week do you need to work in your job to get paid $800? And you're like, fucking full time, like 38 hours. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, exactly. So, yes, like 800 doesn't seem a lot, but when we actually do the comparison of like what it looks like when you work with someone versus what 10 hours worth of work looks like in your own business, you're doing what lights you up, you're doing it your way, you're in full alignment, you're serving your beautiful clients in the most beautiful, delicious way that feels good, and you're being rewarded from the universe with this abundant money that's flowing in. So, I love that. I really wanted to share that because I think that it's very easy to get caught up in, okay, what's the next milestone? What's the next milestone? What's the next milestone? And I'm guilty of that too, right? Like we're always wanting more, but it's like, let's put things into perspective and see really like how incredible that journey has been to that. So I love that
Yes.
you shared about that. So thank you for sharing that story. So just to bring all of this in and to tie it all up and kind of wrap it up with a big bow, how do you think that horrible time in your life with your situation with your ex, how do you think that has actually helped you be the woman that you are today and the life that you live and the business that you have? How do they correlate together?
Oh, is there enough words? Um, I honestly, like, hands down, I would not be the woman I am today. I wouldn't have the life I have. I wouldn't have the husband I have, the business. I wouldn't be this strong, independent woman
Yeah.
without that experience. There's just no way. And it was a life lesson, and it's obviously something that I needed to go through in
Yeah.
order to be here. Um, yeah, and I think it's really helped me, I guess, like with boundaries and just, like learning the deal breaker list for me was a huge thing. I never thought of that concept of like, everyone writes their like perfect little box for a partner. And my mentor at the time, she said to me, I don't want a list of what you want. I want a list of your deal breakers, because
Yeah.
if that person never breaks your deal breakers, they're never going to compromise you as a person. And that was
Mm,
huge. And
mm,
so I think learning that, but then not only just with my husband, but like with people, I'm like,
yeah.
that that's a deal breaker for me. You've crossed a boundary, like, and I've
Uh-huh.
let friendships go for that. I've quit
Mm-hmm.
jobs because of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I
Said
have
no to
had,
certain clients because of that.
yeah, I've said
Yeah.
no to
Mm-hmm.
clients. I um have had tough conversations with bosses, and and being prepared to let them walk out the door, essentially, if
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, because I so strongly believe that, like, I just, I never, I never want to be in the position where I was so broken. And I think people don't understand that if you continually please people and do what they want you to do, you're the only person who gets hurt because you cross your own boundary. Like,
Mhm.
they're not worried that you drove an hour and a half out of your way when it's really not what you wanted to do. They're like, oh, great, thanks. I really appreciate that. But the pain, they don't see the pain that it caused you to actually rejig your whole entire schedule to make that happen.
Mhm.
And you're the only one who suffers. And so I think, that's it's a constant reminder that I will not, I will always put myself first within reason, but like I will always put myself first, and I won't cross my own boundaries because it's
Mhm.
just too painful. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love that. I think that's really powerful for the listeners listening, to remember that, your boundaries are one thing. And, we talk about this in my world all the time. It's like boundaries are really important to put in place, but the actual hard part is following up on your boundary that you put in place. It's easy to sit here and say, hey, I won't tolerate XYZ, or hey, this is my boundary and this is not okay for me, or, like whatever it is,
mm-hmm,
that part's easy. The part
yeah,
telling the person what it is that you need, like, it is hard when you first start, but that part is actually easy. The hard part is actually implementing that boundary and saying, hey, this was my boundary and you've crossed it. We can have a conversation about why this happened and what this looks like and what's it going to look like moving forward. Or is this where we just realize that, hey, our contract is done
yeah,
and, we're finished now, and I wish you all the best and I love you dearly, but we're just no longer in alignment, and
mm-hmm,
that's okay. And so I think
yeah,
that's a really beautiful, powerful lesson from all of that. I think you've wrapped that up just beautifully. It's like, how do you live the dream life that you want to live? You have to learn to set boundaries. Like, I think
yeah,
that is really powerful to anchor that in. It's like, yeah, boundaries with yourself, boundaries with people that you love, boundaries with your clients, boundaries with team members that you have coming into your business. Like, boundaries is a really big, crucial part to accessing freedom, I truly believe. So yeah, I think
100%.
that's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, and I just want to leave with one thing. I have this quote that I live by, and it's like, and I really learnt this in December, and it was like, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. So I could have stayed in December and I could have like not had a dollar to my name and chose to just sit there in that. But I have to also honor that choice. Like, I'm choosing that because I'm also not changing it. And
Yeah.
so you can't, I guess, essentially play the victim if you're
Mm-hmm.
choosing to not do anything about it. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to live that life. I didn't want to
Yeah.
say, hey, Annie, I can't go to breakfast. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
harder for me than building a salon. Like, that's, you
Yeah.
know, so yeah,
Just like
just,
the old saying, choose your hard. Choose your hard.
yeah, choose your
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that you shared your favorite quote, because you do say that quote all the time. So I'm
All
really
the
happy
time.
that you shared your quote that you're fully embodied in. And I know you say that, even when I'm sharing different pieces of my life with you, and I know that quote often gets thrown at me too. Like, well, Annie, you're either choosing this or you're choosing to change it. It's up to you. And I'm like, okay, all right. I hear you. I hear you. Oh, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I know that we could have talked for hours and hours and hours about all of the nitty gritties and all of the details, because the truth is that, there's so many components and compounding effects that happen in our life that get us to that stage. But I truly, truly am so honored that you were brave enough and had the courage to jump on and share your story, because I know that there will be so many women that are in this season right now where they're going to see themselves, and you're going to mirror to them, that we get to do hard things and we can get out the other side of it. So I just want to say thank you so much. I see you. It has just been so incredible to watch your journey as you have come on this journey with me, walking side by side, hand in hand. And I can't wait to see what the next little season brings for you as well. I love you so dearly. Thank
I
you so
love
much for
you.
coming on. It's been really, really incredible.
Thank you so much for having me. I love you so much. It's been an honor and a privilege to be a part of your podcast and your community and more your journey. I have loved being there every step of the way, the highs, the lows, the laughs, the tears, all of it. And I will be there for many, 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 many more to come.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. If you have enjoyed today's episode or there has been something that has hit your heart, we love to hear from you. So please, please come and let us know. I would love to hear from you. We are going to drop Ellie's Instagram handle in the show notes. So if you want to go and say hello or let her know that part of her story really resonated with you and you got some beautiful feedback, or you got a really beautiful life lesson out of it, or you loved her quote, whatever it is, please go and share the love. This is how we build community. We are in a season right now where collectively we are wanting to be a part of a community, and so this is how we get to build beautiful community of like-minded women all supporting each other. So please head to the show notes and make sure you go and follow her and watch the rest of her journey be truly inspiring for all of you. If you are interested in a VIP day, it is not something that I do publicly advertise. So feel free to reach out to me through DMs, through the email in the show notes, or through Facebook. It is a 4-hour intensive session where we deep dive into where you're at, where you want to go, what your blocks are. And it's a beautiful combination of strategy and energetics. So we do some meditation and some visualization, and we work where your blocks are, and we work through all of that to really help set you up and give you a plan. That is the probably one of the quickest ways to work with me. The other containers that I have are a little bit more in depth. So the next one up is the Evolve container. The Evolve container is a 12-month, year-long container for salon owners that are ready to break free from society's definition of what it looks like to be operating a business in this hair and beauty industry. We bring in beautiful new age modalities and spirituality and sexuality and healing and inner child. And it's just this beautiful combination of deep strategy to grow your business beyond 6 figures, and also healing and finding fulfillment in your life as well. It is hands down one of my absolute favorite containers. So in the show notes, you will see an application link for that. If you feel that call to come and join us, it would be an honor to support you through your next season that you are stepping into. If you have any other questions about anything else, my DMs are always open. So please, Queen, come and say hello, and I would love to hear from you. But otherwise, bye for now. Thank you for joining us, and we will chat with you real soon.